Why do you think comedy is male dominated, or does it feel male dominated?
Well, I think the act of comedy itself is extremely masculine thing.
Yeah.
You're walking on stage and you're like, yeah, what I have to say is important and you guys will respond to it. Like the
Right.
whole thing is extremely masculine in itself. Um
Yeah, it's almost like a combat. You're almost going to a war in a way.
yeah.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Um, and combat was stereotypically has always been a male thing,
Right.
kind of.
Yeah.
It's changing,
Yeah.
but I think like if you look at like kind of like the archetypes or whatever, then it's usually a man out there.
Yeah, and I think also the population in the country really, I mean, it's also changing in this way because of podcasting and online specials and social media and all this stuff. But like before I started comedy, I was maybe aware of five comedians, like,
Yeah.
and they're only the top five biggest. Like, you're not really aware of the comedy landscape,
Right.
and so I don't think people really have been exposed to that many female comedians, and I don't like to think about it because I don't want to have that perspective. I don't think it's helpful for me
Yeah.
to be like, no one's gonna, whatever, I'm a pussy. But I do notice it sometimes, like online, where
Right.
you'll see like YouTube comments or something, and you're like, oh, the rest of the country only thinks men are funny just naturally. It's just like a misogynist thing. Which,
Yeah.
but also, who gives a fuck about them? You have your own audience, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, finding your own audience is key. I mean, I think different places, I think, and I don't even know if it's the rest of the country thing. I don't know. It's like, it always seems like, here's what I think sometimes as when I think about male and female comedians. Men, it always seems like they are, and maybe this is just because I've seen this in television and film over the years, but they're like the goofball. They're the fuck, they're the bat bumbling,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And so you don't mind if something happens to the bumbling guy.
Yeah.
You don't mind if that guy steps in a fire,
Mm.
slips on a banana peel. For me, the thing that always, and this was the same thing about you watching UFC women. I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it because it felt like I didn't think, oh, these people shouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
I think anybody should do whatever they want. It just was like I always thought of women as like mom
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
a sister.
Right.
So when you think about, oh man, my sister, it's a male instinct. If your sister's getting in a fight, that you
Yeah.
help or like, and then comedy I always felt like was such an uncomfort. I think also, so it was like, man, this is so uncomfortable. A woman doesn't need to go through this.
That's what my dad said to
Like
me
I
when
should
I
put my
first
like if I see a
started.
woman walking on stage, I should put my coat down over
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Oh, are
so that
you
she doesn't
a
have to
gentleman?
step in the stage, or step in the. So I think there's a lot of that. I don't know if it's that. For me, it was never that women shouldn't do this. But I did always, I think, and it wasn't a choice I made.
No, it's an unconscious bias. Like for you, you're saying it's like a certain fragility that you're worried about
Yeah,
them.
it just felt like
Yeah.
why do
Which
women have to do? Why do they need to endure this?
that's literally what my dad said to me, like when I first started. He's like, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. Why are you choosing to put your life in a basement with drunks and fuck ups?
But
And I
that's a
was like,
great
fair,
question.
fair point, but also it's just like it is what it is. It's like I think what you're saying is totally real, like, cuz I feel that way, that I'm received that way in Orange County, cuz they cannot fathom that a woman would not, my own focus and priority would not be to be married with three kids right now.
Right.
And like my family's never seen me. My brothers have, but my parents have never seen me do comedy before,
Wow.
or any of my TV stuff either.
Well, here's something also that happens. A lot of women start doing comedy, right? And I'm probably going to receive hell for this because it's a generalization. Here's something that I sometimes feel could be realistic, and I don't know.
Here we go.
Um, and then the first thing they do is beat this woman drum instead of beating the comedy drum. It's like, um,
You mean off stage?
Yeah, kind of. It's like I'm a female. Like somebody will be doing it a month, and they're big, and they're just like you just start getting into like this. And I think maybe it was like kind of a fad that happened for a while. It was like, and maybe women needed to, maybe they need to do that to make sure that they're seen in like a male dominated environment, you know. But I feel like sometimes people will lean so much on any whatever it is that makes them like, oh, I'm Southern, or I'm a woman, or I was on fire. You know, you see some guy and he's got skin grafts. He's like, I was on fire, you know, and that's his big thing. And he's like, you know, fire shows, you know, we're doing everybody who's been on fire ever. You got to be on, you know, you're on the fire lineup only, you
Yeah.
know, victim, you know, like somebody, you know,
Yeah.
neck brace line, you know, it's neck brace night at the
Yeah.
fucking, um, and I don't think it's a bad, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't know what I'm saying exactly. I guess I'm saying some people attach themselves so much to something that they forget that what they're doing is we still have to do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel two ways
I'm not
about
saying that
that.
about you.
No, I don't think
Okay.
you've never even seen me do comedy.
Yeah. I
um,
wonder if that's true or not.
I don't think so. Uh, but yeah, I want to be aware of shit, and sometimes I can feel things. Like a lot of times when I'm in a green room, I mean, less now that I'm like more known, but like immediately when you walk in a green room, if it's like a older comic or a famous comic, they think that you're the girlfriend of another dude. And it's just
Oh.
like, but like that's not something I'm gonna get upset about, but I can feel it immediately when I walk
Right.
in.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because I wonder, yeah, why do I sometimes feel like, or what are some of the things that make me feel like it's a man sport, or that it makes, I think, yeah, I think those are the things for me about that. It's like there's some fragility to it that you don't want. It's like a,
I mean, I don't know you well, but you seem like the area of comedy that you roll in is hyper masculine and the people that you're friends with.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I have some female comedian friends, you
Well,
know.
yeah.
But I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess more of my comedian friends are probably men, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Or more yours women, you think?
No. I have like a mix. I mean, I always say like I don't really like being a woman. The best part about being a woman is female friendship. Like my girlfriends in comedy are it's just like the best thing in the world because we're not really like it's such a it's such a distinct way of life that many people don't understand, and
Yeah.
especially like growing older as a woman, people can't really understand like why you would want to do it. So it's like you're really understand each other in a way that other people don't.
So many people have know nothing about comedy.
Totally.
You're like in the world, so you know it, you start to like, but then there's some people that have no idea
Yeah.
about, like like Chris Rock, they would just name Chris
Right.
Rock, like
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, you know.
Dave
They would,
Chappelle.
yeah, they wouldn't
Amy
know Robin,
Schumer.
right, you
Yeah.
know.
They have one point of reference. Like, a lot of my girlfriends and I joke about it, but like, so many people will be like, and they'll be trying to compliment you, but it's fucking rude. They'll be like, "You're like a more funny Amy Schumer," or like a less funny Amy Schumer. Whatever it is, they're just
Right,
comparing you, and it's like you could just say "good job,"
right.
bitch.
Yeah, people don't know how. I mean, I think some people also they just don't know that much. You know, like you're saying, if they're trying to give you some people are bad at compliments.
Yeah, it's always like backhanded or whatever. But it's the point is that they have one woman and she has blonde hair,
Right.
and so they immediately they're like, I have to make that association and I have to tell it directly to this person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder what is that in people that makes us feel like we have to do that sometimes.
I think now things have been changing and going in a great direction. But like the women before me, they always said like, you know, they could be better than some dudes in clubs like around the country wouldn't headline them because they said like people wouldn't come, you
Huh.
know? So it's like based
Uh,
on like
but then is that anybody's fault though, or is that just business? Like you
it
can't.
is business, but it's fucking dumb because it's not based on necessarily on talent. Like when you see like Lori Kilmartin, when you watch Lori Kilmartin, she's like one of the best joke writers in the country, and she
Agreed.
just murders. And to think of like a mediocre dude headlining over her is sad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, but I think a lot of that goes to like just business. It's the same as like you could put a ton, you could put a lineup and diversify it all you want, right? But in the end, if it doesn't sell, if people aren't buying tickets to go see it, like if the people aren't buying tickets to go see it, then
No, the market is dumb.
right. So yeah, yeah. In the end, it's like yeah, it just has to be. So meritocracy, it doesn't always figure out, I guess. Then does it?
No, meritocracy is what I mean is just on stage where you're like,
Right.
okay, we'll see who's good and who's not.
Oh, I've seen tons of people over the years that get opportunities because of like nepotism, religion, um, like certain friendships. That kind of stuff just happens. I think it happens in all walks of life.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
think.
does. Like you
Um,
see,
but that's also the thing that makes you keep fucking going. Like if you showed up and just walked in and were like, "Hey, I'm here."
I
And I'm
mean,
funny, and
yeah.
just because I'm black, female, was in a fire, you know, died and came back to life
I
or
love how you
whatever.
keep saying
Um,
was in a fire as if that was someone's
well, I'm
thing.
just thinking different. Oh, it certainly is, man. They got all these shows. It's like I saw
Really?
one show. It was like
I
was
haven't been going to these shows you've been going to.
it's just some of the things I get. I get a link or something. Hey, check out this, and it's all like not victims, affliction. It's
Well,
like affliction night.
I said publicly, do not ask me to do your all female show that it's like ladies of laughter or some shit. I'm like, that is so fucking humiliating. Why don't you just call it look at these clams yapping? Like, I cannot even
Okay.
fathom that shit. It's so embarrassing.
Well, here's something that happens. I think a lot of men also. For me, I remember like it was so tough sometimes. Like who was I talking about one time? Oh, Nikki Glaze, when I first heard her act, it reminded me for some reason of my mother specifically. And so I like couldn't listen to her comedy at the beginning because there was just some weird correlation between like her and what my mom sounded like to me growing up, right?
Yeah.
It's not that way now. I mean, and I've taught, it's just been like a funny thing, but, um,
I
and I'm
mean,
sure
men
maybe
relate to
girls,
women in weird ways. They just
right?
do.
And girls probably do the same to guys, I bet.
Yeah, well, and there's also just a thing of like, it's good to be able to do well in front of everyone, but there are demographics that are going to be not more naturally drawn to you and your material and who you are and what you're talking about. Like I don't like
Right, which is totally fine. And that's
yeah.
like the other night I did a show at that comedy jam in the vans.
Uh
So and then we had there was a comedian on the lineup who's a female comedian, right? She says to me, and the crowd was pretty diverse. She comes up to me after the show. She goes, "Hey, I just want to say I saw your crowd, very diverse group. You're really doing your job." That's what she said to me. And I'm like, I will never work with this girl again for saying that. Because, like, you know how hard it is to get any audience? You think I have to get a certain type of audience? Like, that's fucking crazy to me. Like, I'm happy to sell any tickets. Like, now I have to make sure each audience member, like this person, has a hat. This person has glasses. This person's a ginger. This person's a Filipino. Like, that's fucking impossible,
yeah.
right? Like, I don't know. And maybe I could have had like an overreaction. It just seemed like, and this was a girl who doesn't sell tickets, which is fine, right? But it was like, are you really telling me like that I have to have now like a diverse audience? Like, it just fucking was like, that's impossible. Okay? Maybe some people it's possible, but
I love that you added and this is a person who doesn't sell tickets.
yeah. Hope you enjoyed that video, and you can watch another. And you can watch this one, you can watch this one. Different options, different choices. Some guy just brings you one option, not this guy. Two options. Watch one, this one or this one.